Good afternoon and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Providence Holy Cross Medical Center. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Thomas Polucki.
On your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And my first guest this morning is my co-host, Dr. Thomas Polucki.
Yeah, how'd that happen? I thought I wasn't on the schedule.
Something fell through the crack.
Well, no cracks here. I'm here to fill that and talk about something. It's surprising to me. For decades, everybody, the number one health priority, the number one New Year's resolution when it comes to health would usually be, I want to lose weight, right?
That's right.
Join
Absolutely.
a gym. Most people who join a gym, they're not there to build muscle. They're there to lose weight, right? So it's just a given.
That's the reason they go to begin with.
If you would have told me 5 years ago that anything other than weight loss would be the number one priority, I'd be like, yeah, I'll believe that when I see electric Humvees. But, wait.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Yeah, that's happening too, because there are so many charging stations on the top of mountains and in the middle of the desert. I don't get it.
Where are we going to get all this electricity from?
I don't know. But so now, for the past couple of years, number one health priority in every age group is shifted towards mental health. Mm-hmm. It's disturbing, but it's understandable after this past 5 years. I don't think anybody is not affected by what's been going on in these past 5 years, right?
Absolutely. I could not agree more.
So it's really just a matter of how are we going to deal with this? And of course, from my point of view, I wrote a book on it. I believe the most effective, the least expensive answer for the overwhelming majority of people is taking care of yourself, learning how to take care of yourself better. And it's a surprisingly hard sell. You know, people know they shouldn't smoke, but they still have. It's not like this is some new concept out there.
And people know they shouldn't drink, but they do.
People know they shouldn't drink and drive, but they still do.
That's right.
People know they shouldn't have the majority of their diet be, fatty, rich, sweet foods, but they gravitate towards that. Mm-hmm. And so I don't believe there's some evil empire out there making us do bad things. I think there are some very good students of human nature who want to make some money, so they capitalize on what people really want. But it's kind of like the ice cream diet, And I really have a problem with doctors and healthcare professionals, especially the ones that have a platform, the ones that are on TV or radio or, some kind of social platform, and they're promoting this stuff that, this is healthcare, but, it's anything but. So we need to learn how to take better care of ourselves, and I hope I did a decent job with this book. It's available on Amazon. You can get it in Kindle for a couple of bucks, and it's a light read. This is not a textbook. This is not an encyclopedia. This is something that someone could easily read in a couple of hours. Now, that doesn't minimize the benefit or the value of the information in it. I'm real good because I've had to be. I've been in school more than half my life on boiling down the information into easy to manage little bite-sized pieces, right? Mm-hmm. Makes it a lot easier for everybody to at least hear and absorb the information.
Yes.
Whether they do anything about it or not is up to them. And that
That's
really
right.
comes down to how important it is to them. And for unfortunately for most people, unless it's a life or death crisis, they don't want to know any of this stuff.
No, that's
Because it's so much easier
very true.
just to take a pill or get a shot and live the ice cream diet lifestyle, right?
That's right.
So a lot of people are still into that, but it has its price as well. So I'd like to focus on mental health, stress management. We're going to do a breathing exercise. I'm going to see if you've been doing your homework or not, because self-help is about empowerment. It's about taking control of your own health instead of just hoping that the emergency system is going to be there to save us when everything goes horribly wrong, because it doesn't do such a great job of that if you've been paying attention for the past few years.
That's very true.
So it's some small changes can make a real big difference, and we're going to get to some of that in this segment. I only have half the show today, so we really have to hustle a little bit.
Well, we can continue it when you have your full
There
show.
you go.
Yeah.
So easy stuff, and nothing that's gonna make you feel like you joined a cult or you're doing something counterculture. Just some common sense things and little changes. I mean, very manageable, bite-sized pieces can totally shift everything in your life. Something as simple as breathing. So before I get to that, we all hear the saying, "You are what you eat." Now, there's some truth to that.
Well,
you
yes,
don't
there is a little
you
bit of
don't
truth.
want to eat bad food all the time and expect everything to be okay. But everybody's got an opinion about what's right. I can't be bothered with everybody's opinion. There is some research out there to show that there is a way to do it. There are groups of people that live in modern society and still don't have any degenerative diseases, any chronic diseases. Their levels of cancer, heart attack, and stroke are a fraction of a percent of what we deal with living as Americans, right? So, and one of the groups is right here in California, down in Loma Linda. So what are they doing differently? Well, they are eating differently, very differently. And the key is that it's very, number one, low fat, and very low amount of animal products. So you get rid of the dairy, you get rid of the fatty foods, and you're going to do better. You minimize the amount of all animal products that you have. And it's basically vegetables, a lot of vegetables, but you're not vegan, you're not vegetarian. There's no weirdness about that, but we're designed to have a whole bunch of vegetables and occasionally some protein here and there. And
What about fish?
fish is okay.
Yes.
And very little processed foods. Like processed foods, believe it or not, are a pretty modern invention. When you were a child, there wasn't a whole lot of processed foods out there. It's
we didn't
within
have
our
any.
lifetime. It's within
didn't
our
have any in
lifetime
England.
that the overwhelming amount of food that we consume is heavily processed, and it's
Yeah, well,
having a devastating effect.
When I lived in England, we had our own vegetable garden. We had our own chickens,
Yep.
so we had our own eggs.
Yep.
And very seldom ate meat.
Yep.
Very seldom.
Yeah.
It was a treat.
Yeah, and we will get back to that here, and that this is a topic for another show. If we can circle back to this, I'd like to get to it. But believe it or not, food is the least important thing that we're going to talk about today in order to change your health. So you can live 30 days without eating anything at all before your body starts shutting down, right? But you can only live 3 days without two different things that are 10 times as important, right? We've talked about this before. Can you remember what the two are,
One
Bob?
of them is water.
Yeah, water. So water's the amount of hydration and the type of hydration that you do is 10 times more important. We've done whole shows on this, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. And the other one is sleep. You can literally only live 3 days without sleep. I know some people come to me and say, well, I haven't slept in a year. I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
no.
come on.
Yeah. You haven't had good quality sleep. I believe that completely, but
yes.
nobody cannot sleep for more than 3 days. You just shut down. It's overwhelming to the system. So sleep is more important. The way you drink is more important, but there's something thousands and thousands and thousands of times more important than the water, than the food, than the sleep. And do you remember what that is? What do you can go only 3 minutes without?
Breathing.
Yeah, breathing. So I'd like to really quick touch on the breathing exercise that we did. I'm going to see if you've been practicing or not. So Barb, take a big deep breath for me. All right. I don't want to wag a finger at you, but it was all up here.
Yes,
It was
I
all
know,
high chest
I know.
breathing.
But normally it isn't. You caught me off guard.
I
mean,
know,
okay,
I know,
do
I
the
know.
right thing, Barbara.
So the way to get the relax, the repair, the restore, the healing mechanisms kick-started in your body is with your breath more than anything else. And the easiest way to do that is what's called diaphragmatic breathing. And singers know about this because
yes.
if they're belting out a tune for 16 bars or whatever, like they're just holding a note forever, you have to have your lungs completely full in
Right.
order to do that. And the only way you can do that is if you drop your diaphragm down low into your abdominal cavity, sucking the air all down into the deepest part of your lungs, which is actually where all the good stuff happens. This high chest breathing, which most of us do all the time, especially when we're stressed, is there for emergency purposes only. But that being said, it triggers all the emergency reactions in your body. Your chemistry changes in your brain, your digestive system shuts down, your immune system shuts down. And this is the way most of us breathe all the time, is this high, shallow chest breathing where we're not really oxygenating the blood, we're not really getting circulation, we're not really pumping the lymph through our bodies, we're not getting the benefit of breathing. Right? Babies know how. We forget how to do this breathing somewhere along the way,
Right.
but babies breathe perfectly. And that's why I believe all the pictures of the Buddha, or at least the Chinese Buddha, are in the form of a baby. He's not fat. Well, he is in the pictures,
yeah.
in the little
Yes.
statues in Chinatown. He's fat. But the reason that he looks like that is because he's pure and innocent, and he's taking a big, deep belly breath, right? So that's the icon of it, right? Mm-hmm. The iconography, if that's a word. You'll have to let me know, Barb. So
I don't even know how to spell it.
Yeah, the breathing, the deep belly breathing can totally shift the quality of your health, and that's all it takes. But there's other exercises as well. So, I know you've had a problem with walking and balance and a few other things. Many people believe that strength is the answer, that all problems are due to a weak muscle, a deconditioned muscle or whatever. But before you get to strengthening, you've got to address alignment, balance, and coordination, or the only thing you're strengthening are bad habits, right? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
So we like to line stuff up and then focus the homework, at least initially, on coordination and balance. And once you have balance and coordination and everything's lined up, then you can do as much strength training as you like without worrying about hurting yourself, right? But so many people, when they, like it used to be, when they go to the gym on January 2nd or 3rd or 4th or 5th or whenever they get around to it after they made their New Year's resolution, they drop out by the second week because they've hurt themselves, because they're focusing on too much, too fast, without doing the homework
That's right.
of making sure there's proper alignment, balance, and coordination, and they go right into the strength training or extreme cardio training that is just waiting for an accident to
That's
happen.
why it's so important to get a trainer when you go to a gym.
Well, you'd be
It really
surprised.
is.
Yeah, it can be. It can be very important, but you'd be surprised. Some of the very famous trainers that have the videos, like we're talking about
Oh, yeah.
mega star trainers. I watch some of their stuff, and they are not covering alignment, balance, and coordination. They are going right for the strength and the extreme fitness. And you hear about them later where they get hurt, and they're showing literally millions of people on their videos and on their streams and on their podcasts or whatever how to do things, but they don't know the basic fundamentals of how to do it safely and how to get the most amount of benefit without the risk of injury. So I love them. I have a whole library of these, but I have the training, so I watch them and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it this way instead. But for our audience, for anybody listening right now, that's probably not even an option. So I'd like to talk about some stuff that is real, that's realistic. If you look at there's about 4 core exercises that everything else is just a version of. So there's pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, and squats, and pretty much everything else is some kind of version of that. And believe it or not, you can do all of it at your desk.
Or at the kitchen sink.
Sink.
Yes.
And so if we have a minute or two, I can probably show you what that looks like. So the push-up, the key to a safe push-up, because you can do it right at your desk. This is all it is. But the key is keeping your elbows in tight to your body. This one where they get way out here or way in front or way behind or all that other stuff is just asking for trouble. So keep the elbows in tight to the body. Right? The pull-up is a little bit scary, and most people aren't going to do it anyway, but you can do it here. You just have to hang upside down from the desk in order to do it.
I don't think I'll try
even
that.
if I did show it, you just might see my fingertips here in the studio, so that's not going to work out. But the squat is easy enough. The squat is just getting up and down out of your chair. That's it. Now, the key there is to keep your knees tracking over your ankles. I know a lot of trainers say, well, that can't go in front of your toes. I think that's too far. The knee is designed to stay over the ankle. As long as in that whole motion going up and down, your knee stays put
straight,
over your ankle. So your shin bone is straight up and down. You're going to spare your knees on that one.
Well, you're doing more of a sitting stand.
More of a sitting stand,
That's
exactly.
what
That's
it
what I'm
is.
saying. Getting up and
Yes.
down from sitting
That's right.
is a squat, and everybody does it. Maybe just do it a little bit more. Maybe just do it a little bit more than once to get up.
Except
Maybe do
trying to
it.
get into these stools.
Yeah.
That's a job.
Yeah. So, and if you can't, like, you got some issues with walking right now. I understand that. So let's say you can't even get up out of the chair. I'm going to show you something real quick because we have about 1 minute left and then we got to go to break. If you can't walk, before you walk, what do you do?
What do you mean?
As a
before you-
baby, what do you do before you learn how to walk?
You roll.
You crawl.
Or
You crawl. And crawling is actually one of the best exercises ever invented. So in the seating position, the crawl just looks like knee to elbow, knee to elbow. So let me see you do that real quick, Barb, and then we got to go to break. No, stay sitting. Stay sitting.
I almost fell out of the chair. Okay, now what am I supposed to do?
Opposite knee to opposite elbow. Yep, just like that. Yep.
Whoops.
Yep.
The chair won't
Yeah.
stay.
And obviously do it in a stable chair.
Yes.
But yeah, just that alone is great. Now you want to maximize that, so you go knee to elbow, and then you shoot them out straight. Go
Right.
knee to elbow and shoot them out straight.
Right.
Yeah, so that's it. Mental health is more important than weight loss, and but they're all tied together. You stay fit, you stay healthy, you stay positive. Maybe journal, keep track of what you're doing, and be kind to yourself. The self-talk is the most important conversation you're going to have.
That's true, but also exercise is good for your mental health.
Absolutely is.
It is. And our guest now is Adam Laraway from Focus Physical Therapy. And what are we talking about, sir? It's good to see you again.
Nice to see you. Thanks for having me. I'm coming back from vacation and I'm a little jet lagged, so I thought I would talk about the importance of sleep.
Sleep and lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep, yeah, and why it's so important. With sleep is really when your body, is healing all of your tissues. There's kind of multiple types of sleep. The first half of your sleep when you go to bed is what's called the slow wave sleep, which is your deep sleep. And that's where your body releases human growth hormone to repair all of your tissues and stuff like that from traumas, things that need to be healed, that type of stuff. And then the second half of your sleep is your REM sleep, the rapid eye movement, which we all probably familiar with, but it's more responsible for your brain and processing all the memories and that type of stuff and kind of getting you, cleared out and ready for your start of the day. But it's really, really, really important, and a lot of people are really sleep deprived. And in physical therapy, that's important because if you're sleep deprived, you're not getting into that deep sleep to help the tissues heal. And so,
That's right.
I can do all these great treatments, but if you're not putting in the sleep and the nutrition and all that type of stuff that are all components of a recovery process, then we're sometimes kind of one step forward, one step back. And so sleep is really, really important. And like I said, I'm feeling that a little bit myself today. But one of the ways that I can really help kind of turbocharge that with the piece of equipment called the Neubie that we use is doing what's called the master reset. When we do that, we stimulate what's called the vagus nerve, which is responsible for your balance of your nervous system, of your sympathetic, which is your fight or flight, and then your parasympathetic, which is your rest, recovery, digest. And when you're sleeping, you need to be in that parasympathetic activity. And when we do a master reset with the Neubie, it will stimulate that parasympathetic activity. We can actually prove that with, I'm using a lot of big words here, but a heart rate variability test where we check that, and that is actually indicative of your parasympathetic balance. And so I will definitely be doing one of those after I leave here for lunch today to help me sleep tonight and recover and get back onto the normal hours of sleep. But it's really, really cool. I've done tests with myself and can see, how I can do a heart rate variability test, run an EKG of my heart, see all that. It spits out all this data. I can do a master reset, and you can see a huge spike in that parasympathetic activity, which is your recovery, rest, recovery, digest. So it's really, really important. And so it's kind of fun, in physical therapy because, we can finish, our physical therapy treatment with that master reset and really help people get into the right space to help them recover.
Well, the thing is, you have a very specific type of physical therapy.
We do.
And I guess it's becoming more known.
It is definitely becoming more known.
But I've been there, and good heavens, that room is unbelievable.
Well, thank you.
Oh, my goodness. And with me, with my feet in those tubs.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. I don't know that there's any explanation except go and do it.
Yeah, for sure. You just have to come experience it.
Yes, you
Yep,
do.
Exactly.
And it's an incredible feeling, and my feet felt so much better
Yeah.
after that. Of course, this week I've missed
Okay.
because I couldn't get there.
Yep.
But next week I'll see you.
Yeah, and so hopefully it has that cumulative effect too. As we do it more and more, we get things healed. So
Yes.
then you eventually, hopefully don't need us anymore. That's,
Oh,
the
well,
ultimate
that's
goal.
what I hope for.
Yeah.
But I would definitely miss coming
Yeah,
there.
right.
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things. That's part of the reason I started my clinic almost 5 years ago, actually, is because I had been a partial owner of a clinic for 16 years. And it was all about the patient care and helping people. And unfortunately, with the way our healthcare system has gone, it became more about getting patients in, get them out, as many as we could, and not helping them. And I just couldn't tolerate it anymore. And so I decided to open my own clinic. So I had 100% say to do what needed to be done. And that's why it's called Focus. It's focused on the patient.
That's right. And there are so many, when I was there last time, there were 5 or 6 people doing different things.
Yep.
Different kinds of exercises on the beds, lying sideways, upside down, on the stomach, you name it.
I want to know what the upside down was.
But it was, and I was part of that, sitting in a chair with my feet
Absolutely.
in a bucket.
Absolutely, yeah. Because we do.
The vibration.
Yep, from the Neubie.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, because we do, when somebody comes in for physical therapy, in general, in any clinic, but especially ours, it's focused on what the patient needs. So when we bring you in for an evaluation, we talk to you, we put you through tests to figure out what the problems are, and then we design a program most of the time with the Neubie because it's just been so effective. But everybody's doing different things for what their needs are.
What their needs are,
It's
exactly.
definitely not a cookbook.
No.
You come in, you got this problem, we're going to do ABC. It's designed for individual treatment, and
That's right.
That's what.
And
we're
that's
focused
what
on.
you do.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so you're right.
exactly.
You do. I mean, we could have 8 patients in the clinic going, and they could all be doing different
living
things.
around. Good heavens, what's wrong with them?
Right, for sure. Yeah, yeah. We get that question a lot. Unfortunately, with HIPAA, we can't answer that question.
That's true. I know the last time I was in there, you were working with a young woman,
Yep.
and she was standing on one leg and doing all kinds of exercises.
Yep.
And after she'd been on the bed being exercised,
Right,
it
yep.
was incredible watching it. It really was. It
Yeah.
was fascinating.
It is
And here I
definitely.
am sitting in my chair with my feet in the water,
Yep.
getting vibrated,
Yep.
electrified, or whatever you
Electrified,
want
yeah.
to call it.
Yeah. Sometimes we get some funny looks when we tell the patient, we're going to do what the technique you're getting is called the foot bath. And so, when you tell somebody you're going to put this electrode into a bucket of water and then you're going to put your foot in that, you get some eyebrows that raise.
That's right,
I thought we
that's
weren't
right.
supposed to do that. But it's completely safe, and we do it at a tolerance to your tolerance. So you tell us how high to turn the machine
That's
up.
right.
Based on what you're feeling.
And
your
it can get
sensation.
high enough where I'm
Yeah.
like this and say, turn it down,
Yeah,
'Cause
and it
I'm
can't.
shaking
Yeah,
all over.
Right, yeah. And it can't hurt you. It can definitely be intense. But
That's a word for it.
yeah,
Intense. Yeah.
it can definitely
that's
be
the
intense.
word
But
for it.
that's why we work with each individual patient and go to their tolerance level. And I think that's one of the things I have found that I work with patients is that I let them know you're in control. I can't feel
You
what you're
let
feeling.
me. That's
So
right.
I'll
you
turn
let
it up
me
as
know.
the more more electricity you get through the system, the better the recovery is. But you're ultimately in control. And so
Well, it's interesting because after you've been in there a few minutes, your body gets accustomed
it does.
to that, and
Exactly.
you think, "Oh, wait a minute, this is not doing me any good.
Right.
Let's push it up a little bit."
Absolutely. And the cool thing, what I love when that happens is, the Neubie's not changing. It's the same intensity it was.
Yes.
The reason the intensity drops is because your nervous system is actually starting to calm down.
Yes.
And so all of a sudden those protective mechanisms that your brain was sending to, say, your knee or your feet or your shoulder, they are starting to resolve. And that's why the intensity drops. And that's why we want to keep ramping the Neubie up and get it to a higher intensity, hopefully up to 100%. And so that, the system isn't sensing that threat anymore, and that's how we get the problem to go away. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. And we have T-shirts. If you get to 100, Barbara, you'll get one of our T-shirts. It's got
Really?
muscles. Yeah, it's got muscles with the Neubie
okay.
logo, and then on the back it's got my logo, Focus Physical Therapy, and we actually have given away, I think, 3 in the last about month or so, which we'd been on a little bit of a dry spell, but yeah, we've had 3 people get to 100% just in the
Well,
last few weeks.
I'll see you next Wednesday.
There you go. There you go.
Yes, I will.
That's funny. I had 2 brothers that I was treating this morning, one after the other, and one of them got to 100% last week while I was gone. And so we were talking about it, and I said, "Oh, they got now the gauntlet's been laid down, so there's no pressure. They got it."
That's
and
right.
They definitely had to tell me we're dealing with 2 different problems here. So, but it is kind of fun. We make a kind of a fun thing when somebody does get to 100%, we give them a T-shirt, we take a picture and put it on social media so they can wear that badge of honor that they got to 100%.
That's a goal to reach. Yes, that's a goal to reach.
Yeah, I need to get to 100%. I've been to 80% on the Neubie, and I need to get back in and get to 100% so I could say I've done it, because I could have, I think, when I started with it, I could have got to 100%. I just didn't want to because it's intense. Now I'm kind of kicking myself because it's so intense. Like, now my system's so dialed in, I think it's a little harder, but I need to do it myself.
You'll do it. You'll
Absolutely,
do it.
yeah.
Just like I will.
Yeah, exactly. So back to
Sleep.
back to sleep.
Back to sleep.
So one of the things that I talk to patients a lot when they come in and they're in pain, a lot of times that can affect your sleep, because if you're having, back pain or joint pain, knees, hips, ankle, whatever, it can affect your sleep. You're not sleeping well. And if you're not sleeping well, your system could be stuck in, kind of referencing back to what we talked about earlier, could be stuck in that sympathetic part of your nervous system, that fight or flight, because, if your brain is saying, don't turn over, it's going to hurt my back or it's going to hurt my neck, you're going to tense up when you go to turn over. It's not going to feel good.
That's right.
And so helping with the master reset to get more parasympathetic activity and get you out of that sympathetic activity allows your body to hopefully then get back into that good sleep process. And I've had patients come back, from one treatment, the first treatment, if we do a reset, and they'll be like, I slept 6 hours. I haven't slept 6 hours in 6 months. And so there's getting that body into that process so that they can start getting into that healing process. And sometimes that's why people have been dealing with some of these chronic conditions for a long period of time, because they can't get their system to kind of jumpstart, and get the system going. And that's one of the things that we use with the Master Reset and the Neubie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in the first segment, we talked about the current number one health goal for the overwhelming majority of people is no longer weight loss, which it was for decades. Mm-hmm. It's mental health. Mm-hmm. Mental health. And sleep is critically important to mental health. There's no way you can recover. There's a sweet spot between most of us. It's going to fall somewhere close to from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Mm-hmm. That's that deep cycle sleep that you were talking about. Besides what's going on in the brain, it's critical for everything to restore during that time. A lot of people have probably heard about cortisone if they got a shot in their elbow or their knee or something like that. But your body makes it, and it is the master hormone, more so than any other hormone that we hear about. And the cortisone regenerative cycle is from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Mm-hmm. And if you are not in that deep cycle sleep during that period, you're starting your day on an empty tank when it comes to cortisol. Some people think, cortisone is bad. That's belly fat. That's misinformation from people who are trying to sell you something. Cortisol is critically important to run everything in your body, and especially healing, recovery, inflammation anywhere in your body. And if you're starting off with your tank empty in the morning because you didn't make any overnight, you get into real trouble real quick with that.
For sure, yeah, because your cortisol's got to elevate when you're getting up. That's kind of what gets you up and gets you moving.
Yep.
And if it hasn't produced, like you're saying, your system doesn't want to get going. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, kind of talking about that, 10 to 2 a.m. time window. We've talked about on the podcast or on the radio program before, I wear a Whoop band and it tracks all that. So I can see exactly how much slow wave sleep, the deep sleep, and how much REM sleep I get. And it's very interesting. Like if I go to bed late, and then say get up at my normal time, my deep sleep will be affected because it's like I lost that window.
Yeah.
And the same occurs if I go to bed on time, but maybe I have to get up early, my REM sleep will then be less, which is that last half. So it definitely affects that. And, just like I said, coming back from vacation, my notification this morning is I'm at a 50-minute deficit of sleep, and so I need to fix that, meaning I need to go to bed earlier tonight to kind of make up for that.
To make up for
and
that
get back
loss.
into that neutral balance.
Yeah. And we're kind of continuing our first conversation about sleep.
Yeah, there are just a few basics when it comes to it. Everybody is constantly bombarded with the myth that is out there that you can't do this on your own. You need these medications in order to deal with your daily aches and pains. But Adam and I are cut from a different sheet. I think, well, I can speak for myself, and I believe it's the same for Adam. We're about getting people better and keeping them there so they don't need any of that emergency care down the line. And there are literally only a handful of things that people, all they have to do is focus on. We're taught very early on that you got to brush your teeth. You got to brush your teeth at least a couple of times a day. And people do it for various reasons. Some because they don't want bad breath, some because they don't want rotten smile, some because they get that, taking care of your teeth is important. It's an important factor in your health. The dentist did an amazing job. Unfortunately, no other profession in the entire healthcare field has done as good a job in the profession in getting that message out to the public about you got to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
It is your responsibility not to get sick in the first place.
That's right.
Not wait until you get sick and hope that somebody's going to be able to fix it later for you.
For sure. Yeah, that's one of the things I've actually talked about with some of my colleagues is, and I think you're going to agree 100%, is that, our profession, physical therapy, and probably even yours with chiropractic, is that we should be more like the dentist, that people should come in maybe once a year just as a preventative.
Yeah.
Like do a screen, check in. Okay, you've got this, it's a little tight. You got this, it's a little weak, and be more preventative and proactive about that would be huge because, otherwise we're seeing people that have been in pain a lot of times for,
Years.
3 weeks, months, years, exactly.
Years.
Because they're like, oh, it's not that bad. I'll just, it'll get better on its own. And it doesn't. But then by that time, they're chronic and the body's not trying to heal it anymore, which then makes it harder on our end to get things to jumpstart that process and get it healing. So I agree 100%. We need to be more proactive and that's one of the things we preach is keeping, moving, getting out for a walk every day, get some sunshine, get your skin exposed to help with vitamin D. Like there's so many different things that you can do that don't cost money to help with your overall health, and that's huge. For sure.
It is. It keeps us alive, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. You definitely want to live that full life where you're not hindered by disorders and deficits and that type of stuff.
Well, I've lived an incredible life. I mean, from the time I was born, lived through the Second World War as a little girl. Watching bombs drop all around me, and and then coming to the States, and living in the South, and getting married, and divorcing, and getting married again, and losing my husband, and losing a child, but you have to have a positive outlook on life.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't be the age I am now and where I am now if I wasn't a positive thinker.
Absolutely.
And I got that from my father.
Yeah.
My mother was the exact opposite. But my father was always, you're up. You're up all the time. And that's the way he was.
Yeah. It's important. It's important because when you're dealt with some adversity, you got to find the positive in it.
You do.
Otherwise, your body secretes these different hormones. And that's probably a topic for a whole nother show.
Well, I'm sure it is, but that's very true.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, mindset is the biggest aspect of the success formula.
Depression is terrible.
So, Adam, can we get your contact information real quick, please?
You bet. We're located at 25050 Peachland Avenue, Suite 205. Our phone number is 661-255-4205, and our website is www.focusptscv.com.
Adam Laraway of Focus Physical Therapy. You've been listening to the Senior Hour at KHTS FM 98.1, AM 1220, hometownstation.com. Now go out and enhance your quality of life.